Good morning, everyone. Now, this is your third video in relation to the chapter Physical and Chemical Changes. Now, this video deals about different types of chemical changes that occur in our daily life, and this will allow you to understand how all these changes are responsible for undergoing the chemical changes. Now, let us start with respiration. Now, normally, respiration is considered to be a chemical change because the food, that is glucose, in contact with oxygen breaks down to release carbon dioxide, water, and energy. Now, since new products are obtained and you cannot get back to the original substance, whatever was there, that's why this type of change is called your chemical change. Moving down to the second one, that is photosynthesis, which is a process by which green plants prepare their food by using carbon dioxide, water, chlorophyll, and sunlight. Now, this type of processes where heat energy is being utilized, they are known as endothermic reactions, whereas respiration was an exothermic reaction because it used to release heat. Now, since a new chemical compound is formed which is absolutely different from its original reactants, that's why it is considered to be a chemical change. Now, moving down to combustion. Any fuel which is burned in presence of oxygen gives rise to heat, light, and other byproducts. Now, each of these products, they are completely different from their original substance. It releases heat, thus it's an exothermic reaction, and new substances are also formed. That's why it's a chemical change. Very common example, burning of wax, wood, and coal, they all are considered under combustion. Now, moving across to a slow chemical change that is called rusting. Now, in case of rusting, any kind of metal, specifically iron, when comes in contact with oxygen, moisture, and impurities, that will change its color and its physical properties too. Now, this will lead to the formation of a new chemical compound called iron oxide. Now, this new chemical compound can be removed by painting, greasing, oiling, or coating with any other metal. Now, thus new substances are formed, so it is a type of chemical change. Now, moving down to the reaction between iron and sulfur. Now, here two types of changes, that is physical as well as chemical changes, both of them will take place. Now, when iron and sulfur are mixed together, they can be separated by using a magnet because both of them do not combine chemically. They are just physically combined to form a mixture. Now, since you can get back the original substance by using a magnet that will attract the pieces of iron, thus we can consider it to be a physical change. But when iron and sulfur are mixed together and when you are going to heat them, now at that time it is going to form a black solid. Now, this black solid is nothing but iron sulfide. That's iron sulfide. Now, iron sulfide, whatever is formed, you cannot separate it from its mixture by using a magnet. Also, carbon disulfide, if it is used, it's not used to dissolve the solution. Now, since you cannot get back the original substance and a new substance is also formed in the form of iron sulfide, thus it is a chemical change. Now, coming down to the formation of curd from milk, a very common thing which happens naturally. Now, milk contains protein casein, now which when acted upon by bacteria, it will get converted into lactic acid. Now, this will allow the conversion process to occur in a proper manner due to the thicker formation of the curd. Now, since new substances are formed and you cannot get back milk from curd, thus it's a chemical change. Now, coming down to curdling of milk. The term curdling specifically means spoiling. Now, how does milk actually get spoiled? Now, milk is made up of fats, proteins and sugars. Now, when they come in contact with a warm environment, very slowly they undergo a chemical reaction that will allow the liquid part to separate, and that will form something called whey. And within that whey, it will keep on floating. Okay, it will keep on floating within that whey. So thus it will result in the curdling of milk, or something that we call as spoiling of milk. Now, coming down to rotting of eggs. Now, normally we know egg shell is made up of calcium carbonate and there is some amount of sulfur also present. Now, bacteria from dirt, when they try to enter the eggshell, they will come in contact with the protein and sulfur. Now, thus, if you see in this particular slide, the color as well as the smell of the egg is going to change. Now, since a new substance like hydrogen sulfide is formed, that's why we consider it to be a type of chemical change. Now, coming down to caramelization of sugar. Now, this is a process in which sugar is initially heated to a brown color that will result in the formation of caramel, having a butterscotch smell. Now, sugar contains sucrose, so when we are heating it, it's going to change into fructose and glucose. Now, as you keep on heating the sugar further, glucose and fructose will undergo further decomposition that will result in a formation of a black colored compound that is going to char. Now, very commonly, a nice aroma is formed during the formation of caramel that is called due to a chemical called as diacetyl. Now, since chemical reactions keep on occurring at every step, thus we consider it to be a type of chemical change. Now, when you move across to something called cooking rice, now we know that rice will contain two carbohydrates, amylose and amylopectin. Now, when you are going to heat the rice grains in water, very slowly water will enter the grains. Now, as water will enter the grains and along with heat, both the carbohydrates will be broken down. As it will be broken down, the rice becomes very soft and fluffy, and thus we can have it easily. Hence, since the original and the new substance is completely different, that's why we consider it to be a type of chemical change. Now, moving down to the last of the chemical changes that's seen from everyday life is baking bread. Now, we know that bread is prepared by reacting flour, water and yeast. Now, as and when flour is mixed with water properly and kneaded, that will result in the formation of gluten that will make the flour get attracted to the water properly. Now, as it will form the dough, yeast is added, which is a fungi. Now, as this will be a fungi, so when you keep it in a warm place, automatically it will start to respire and undergo the fermentation process. Now, this will release carbon dioxide and the bread will keep on rising. Now, finally, the bread becomes soft and fluffy and very delicious to eat. So, thus, this is also a type of chemical change. So, within this particular video, we have explained all the different types of chemical changes, whatever have taken place, and how these changes are responsible for undergoing the changes. Thank you.